Hello guys, welcome to HNJ Online Academy. Today I'm going to take you through this short and quick tutorial on how to use the Excel functions VLOOKUP and HLOOKUp. Alright, so going straight into it, with me here I have this dataset, which is an extract from customer database, which can be used by a bank or microfinance because it contains information about customers, their income information, that information. Alright. So let's say a bank uses this dataset to determine if they want to give a customer a loan or not, right? So we have a customer who comes and wants to apply for a loan, but then our regulations as a bank, let's say, is that we check the debt to income ratio, right? We have maybe a threshold which we want the debt or the debt to income ratio to be. All right. So the first thing, when the customer comes, they give us their customer ID. Then we have to look up for their debt to income ratio. All right. But as you can see with this data set, it's not easy to look up for a specific record here and then go and extract the debt to income ratio for that specific record. All right. Because we have like thousands of records here. So we can make use of the VLOOKUP function to find the customer ID and then give us the debt to income ratio for that particular customer. All right, so let's see how we can use the VLOOKUP function. All right, so we have a customer, all right, and the customer comes and give us their customer ID, which we are going to write in this cell. All right, so when we write our customer ID in this cell, we have to get the debt to income ratio right in this cell. All right, so let's write our VLOOKUP function. All right, so first of all is the equal sign. Then if we say VLOOKUP is here, we have our VLOOKUP function. Right, then on the parameters here that we include in the function, the first one is the lookup value. All right, is the value that we are looking for in the table. All right, so we are saying here, when our customer gives us their customer ID, or so the assumption is that if a customer maybe knows their customer ID at least, and then we'll be able to extract any other information we can if they give us their customer ID, which is their unique representation. All right, so we write our customer ID in here. All right, so we are going to tell our VLOOKUP function, we will look up for whatever is it that we write in this cell, which is the customer ID. And then after that, the next is the table array. All right, is the table from which we are going to search for our information. All right, so we want to search for information, let's say from this whole table. All right, but then what you have to take note of here is that the first column must be the column where this data that we entered in this cell, or in fact where the record or the information that we want to look for, the value that we ordered. So we just have to make sure that the first column is the column which contains the value that we want to look for, that we have inserted in this cell here. All right, so here if we highlight the whole table, it's okay, since this first column is the column which contains the information that we are looking for, because we are looking for the customer ID here, and then when it finds the customer ID, it will give us the debt to income ratio for that particular customer. All right, then the next piece of information after the table array here, the table array, I've just selected the whole table, so it will just search through everything. And then the next thing is the column index number. All right, so the column index number, what we're doing, we are counting the number of columns from the column which is the lookup value. All right, so we're saying this is the customer ID column, which is the lookup value, because we're looking for the customer ID. So we're counting the number of columns from this, and here we want to look up for the debt to income ratio. All right, so this is the column for the debt to income ratio here. This is the debt to income ratio column. So we are going to count the number of columns from here. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So our column index for the debt to income ratio column is 8. So we're going to write 8 here. And then the last part of our function is true or false. So we're saying we write true if we want to look for an approximate list for an approximate match of the value that we are looking for, but we select false if we want to look for the exact match. All right, so here let's just select the exact match so that we get the exact record that we are looking for. All right, so this is what our VLOOKUP function looks like, and then we press enter. All right, so here what we have to do, we just have to write a customer ID in this cell, and then it will give us the debt to income ratio for that particular customer. All right, so here I'm going to pick a random customer ID. Right, let me select this one, select that customer ID and insert it in that cell. All right, it will give us a debt to income ratio of 1.9. So we can come here and try to confirm here the debt to income ratio for this guy here is 1.9. All right, so this is what the VLOOKUP function does. All right, so any customer who comes, we just pick their customer ID. Let me select another one here. Let's say that's the customer who comes, and then we write their customer ID in this cell. All right, and then here we're going to get the debt to income ratio for that particular customer. All right, so this is how the VLOOKUP function works. It extracts a particular information from the table this way. All right, so here it gives us our debt to income ratio, then we can decide if we can proceed giving this customer a loan or not. All right, then all right, let me try something here. Let's say all right, let's say this customer here was, or this customer ID column was not the first column here. All right, let me insert another column before this one. All right, I just want to demonstrate something here. So if we have this information here, so yeah, you can see here now what happens here. It cannot give us our debt to income ratio. Why can it not give us our debt to income ratio here? It's because of the table array here, because here the table array selected starts from the first column here, of which we said our table array has to start from the column which has the lookup value. All right, so this is the column which has the lookup value, but then our table array is not starting from this column, so we have to adjust such that our table array will start from this column. All right, like this. Let's adjust it this way. Let's remove this table array and then reselect starting from the column with our lookup value. All right, so you will see that if we select our table array this way and then press enter, then it will be able to give us our debt to income ratio. So you just have to note that your first column is the column with the lookup value when you insert your table array. All right, so this is how we use the VLOOKUP function. Then let's try to use the HLOOKUP function on this data. Right, let me remove this columns. Though it might not make quite some sense, but we can just try for demonstration on how we can use the HLOOKUP function on this data. All right, so the HLOOKUP, how it differs from the vertical lookup. All right, the vertical lookup function was searching for the lookup value in this column going downwards. All right, so it looks for the lookup value in a column, but the HLOOKUP will look up for the lookup value in rows. All right, so that's how they differ. So here we are going to select let's say we want to look up for age. All right, so we are going to ask this guy. All right, first of all, let's write the HLOOKUP function. So let's say is equal to HLOOKUP like this. Then our lookup value, we are going to select the value that we are going to insert in this cell here, and then the next is the table array. Let's just select the whole table like before. we're just selecting everything, and then the next is the row index number. All right, so counting the number of rows from the row with the lookup value. All right, so let's say here, oh yeah, of course it might not make quite some sense, but we want the age of the customer maybe on the 10th row. All right, so our row index number, starting to count from here, we're going to say 1 2 3 up to 10. So our row index number will be 10. All right, and then here we want an exact match. We select an exact match like this. So this will be our HLOOKUP function. All right, so yeah, what this does, if I if I write something like age in here, all right, so since this is my first row of the table array which I selected here, right, this is the table array that I selected, so is going to search for the lookup value in the first row. All right, so this is the first row, so this is where it's going to look up for this lookup value. So it's going to look up for the value age, and then when it finds the value age here, it's going to go down to row index number 10, which is this one. So this is the lookup value which we must get using the age lookup function here. So here, let's see what we've got. It has given us 66, all right, which is the age on the 10th index. All right, something like that. So it just differs in that the vertical lookup looks up for a value in a column, and then it goes horizontal to give us a certain figure, but then the HLOOKUP looks up for a value in a row that is horizontal. All right, so this is what it's like. All right, so let's say we want to change here, we want to look for sort of some, let's say income. All right, income. So this one we'll search here, and we'll find the income, and then it will go down to the 10th index here, and then give us the income of the customer on the 10th index. All right, so this is how the HLOOKUP function works. All right, so yeah guys, thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you're going to subscribe and like our channel.